Hi, this is Matt with the Intergalactic Herald. Welcome to my podcast number 33 for Star Wars Week in Review. Thanks for joining me for this. All the information I'll be going over, though actually there's not as much news this week, is located in my news recap number 82. So if you go to intergalacticherald.com, look for the news recap 82, you'll get links to any of the articles or videos mentioned here. So to get started, just a few things. One, again, I'm always looking for podcast guests. I'm hoping to reach out to some people soon. I know I keep saying that, but too many other things in life keep coming up, but hopefully that'll happen. But again, if anybody's listening and they'd like to be on and talk about the weekend review of Star Wars, happy to try to coordinate a time. So if you go to intergalacticherald.com, look for the contact form and just submit something there, we can talk. And then just a heads up on two of my Star Atlas projects, though I admit they're still been on hold for a while. One is a merch store hoping to build called Intergalactic Gear. So that's intergalacticgear.com. Right now I have a merch survey. So if you would go to that website, fill that out, they'll give me some great feedback on different things people are looking to purchase and have for different Star Atlas merchandise. Second one is what I'm calling a non-guild guild or an alt guild or an alternative guild. I'm not sure. But anyways, called Intergalactic Coalition, intergalacticcoalition.com. This is, again, nothing wrong with guilds, but if you just are a Star Atlas gamer, want to hang out, find the official Star Atlas Discord a little too chaotic, too many people, hard to keep up. Looking to develop a paid community. I do want to emphasize it will be paid, and that's partly to offset the cost of the platform that I want to use that will allow for things like threaded discussions, email notifications. It's not based on chat metaphor like Discord is. So that does have some things. And to be honest, kind of just people who want to invest a little money to hang out with other people who want to invest a little money in developing a community. So again, please go to intergalacticcoalition.com and fill out that interest survey. So just a couple, actually maybe just one true news item that came out from Star Atlas this past week. Again, I think everybody is heavy into playing Sage Labs and figuring out the different strategies. Definitely things aren't going as well with some scanning for the SDUs. And so not a lot of updates beyond just, I think, so different patch notes for Sage Labs came out. But the Star Atlas team did announce some access to some developer tools. So they put out an article on Medium. And again, they're just opening the door to, quote, free development for Solana builders and creators in Sage Lab and beyond. So they had kind of the typical, what it all means. But the thing that was interesting, they did have a chart or a table there about the different tool releases. And I thought it was kind of interesting to look at some of these. Again, I'm not sure. These sound like, again, things that developers, whether that's programmers or whatever, may know. So things were like bindings for player profiles. So I assume that means there's a developer tool so you can access player profiles, something called data source, core library for TypeScript. Again, I don't really know, but they also had the ability, again, bindings, I'm assuming it means connections, I'm not sure, to the Atlas Prime, so the fee payer part of Sage Labs, something called the player vault, player factions, cargo, handling sensitive tokens such as ships under certain rules, and enable beta game design, crafting, and then Sage, i.e. the, quote, runs the principal game design logic for Sage. So all this documentation is available on build.staratlas.com. So great, they had always been saying they wanted to open up a lot of the things they're developing for different aspects of Star Atlas. So again, kudos to the team for releasing this information and making it available to people. But one thing that came out of this thinking, and I'm again glad that they're opening up the development platform for other people, but there's been lots of discussions, both currently with Sage Labs, previously with Escape Velocity, about bots. And are they, there's bots doing things. First, I guess I don't even know anymore what the definition of a bot is, but I only say that in the sense that it seemed pretty obvious that there are people who are maximizing the ability to accomplish a task within, again, either Escape Velocity or now Sage Labs. And people say, well, they're botters, meaning they're doing automation of tasks. Okay. And one of the key things, and again, there was even after escape velocity, some of the, whatever, I can't remember what we did at escape velocity. What was the goal? We were scanning to get loot, that they had the loot from the botters seized basically and distributed to all the other people who played escape velocity. Anyways, the team is very vague about, they have bot prevention measures, but I did find one thing that was interesting somewhere, probably the Foundation room, because that's about the only Discord channels I can keep up with, was mentioning that, well, in Sage Labs, bots are not as important or not as a big deal because in order to do it, you actually have to have a ship. You have to pay into the game. You have to pay the different transaction fees and things like that. So you may be automating something, but you still have to, pay. So you're not doing something for free. And I forgot to write it down, but late last week, there was one of the guilds, I think it was Unseen, actually, maybe it was a week ago, published a automation tool for SDU scanning in Sage Labs, and the team actually said they don't approve it, but they won't stop it because they're kind of curious. And I did read through the README file for what they were doing, and it sounded like basically somehow use a programming tool to basically click buttons, because it had a fixed screen size and different interactions. You had to set up a special wallet on a special browser with a special list. Anyways, it's great. I mean, it was very well thought out. README, I mean, seemed done very well. And so again, the team kind of came out, well, like, we're allowing this because we want to do an experiment. Anyways, where I'm going with all this is I'm a little confused. If Star Atlas is opening up their development tools, what do they think people are going to develop? Again, I know the whole premise of open source is that people are doing it for the benefit of everyone. Okay, fine. Star Atlas, the game, what we have now, sure seems to be very focused on people making money. Making money. I mean, marketplace is the one thing that people are in, and arbitrage and selling high, and then the price drops or whatever. So does the Star Atlas team not think they're going to take the development tools and build, quote, bots? So again, I'm a little confused. Again, I get why Star Atlas is being very vague. They're not having, definitive, this is what we don't allow, this is what we do allow. But again, you release development tools. What do you think people are going to do? So hopefully we'll figure this out. I mean, again, it's still so early in this thing. But yeah, anyway, so, and maybe I'll get into this. Yeah, I have a couple thoughts on it, but again, I think we're still too early into Sage Labs one way or another. But inevitably, with each release of things, we have seems to be this period of time where people are like, oh, bots are taking advantage of everything and suppressing the prices or increasing the prices or something. Anyways, so, and I know there are in other games, but one of the things I guess here's where my confusion comes, is there's cheating and then there's automation. And I'm unclear of where the line should be. Now, I think everyone would say cheating in a game is wrong. I mean, if I'm playing chess or checkers or Monopoly and my little sister back in the day stole some money from the bank, yeah, it's cheating. That's you shouldn't do that. But automation, on the other hand, that's totally fine. That's why we have technology. Technology is an automation. We used to write things on paper on typewriters, and then we invented word processors, and now we have AI. I mean, it's a natural thing. So to say that we aren't going to have automation in Star Atlas seems a little whatever when you release developer tools, because I don't know why anybody would develop another game. Maybe I'm not in the right mindset. I don't understand how the development tools could come, but it's obviously, I would think, for automation, because right now the only thing that's preventing us from scanning a lot is that we have to click the interface to scan, or I have to click to move a ship. Well, if I can do that all behind the scenes, that'd be cool. I'd like that. Isn't that a bot? So anyways, I don't know, but again, I'm finding this a little mixed. Next topic. So I'll get into more of my strategy and what I've been doing in Sage Labs again in my, here's what I'm doing section, because there's not a ton of news to talk about. But one thing I did want to comment was in Sage Labs, you're clicking, you're moving the thing, and you're not always looking at the transactions that are occurring, especially with the whole Atlas Prime that, the team says, well, hey, you can just pay everything Atlas. We'll do the Solana, swap for you, and you don't have to have Solana. And they're going to take a fee, which again, in a sense, is helping the development. Or again, if it goes, and I can't remember exactly if it's going to the StarOS team now or going to the DAO and eventually it'll go to the DAO. Again, I don't remember. I think that's fine. It's a one less barrier to entry if you don't have to have Solana. However, and again, maybe it was something in the national news about hidden fees, or maybe it's because I'm going on a trip and had to rent a car and there's all these taxes for airports. Anyways, when I was playing and doing a whole bunch of different things, by the end of the week, I had used up a lot of Atlas, but I don't remember why. So I guess maybe I didn't realize this, but every time we were doing something, in addition to, it did seem like there was always a little SOL being transferred. So I'm not sure I'm understanding the blockchain transfer right if Atlas Prime is taking all the Solana away, but why did I still see Solana transactions? Anyways, when I was done after the week, I had but I had used a lot of Atlas, way more than I thought. That wasn't very obvious. Now, I know I've heard things that, well, we want these Atlas syncs. Again, I don't understand blockchain. I don't understand the economics. I'm just like, wait, so every time I'm doing something, and again, it's not hidden fee, but I'm using the term because we all think of hidden fees on cell phone contracts or cable bills or whatever. There's a lot of hidden fees. And then the second thing, again, I don't understand, but there are all these Solana rent deposits. I think that's what they're called. Anyways, so the first time you do something, this opens, and then even the team had to build something in to get back a whole bunch of, anyways. I'm not saying this is deceptive. I'm not saying this is bad, but I didn't put any of this in my little spreadsheet. Let's put it that way. That really, to do all this stuff, I'm actually costing more. And that's why I think of it as a hidden fee, because the crafting chart shows you how much of this to do that. Well, and the fees. So again, we're early, we'll learn more, but again, I kind of go back to the traditional game. If you buy a $60 game for Xbox, you get a $60 game. And if you want to buy a special skin or whatever, downloadable content, that's fine. You see the price, maybe there's a little bit of a credit card fee, and that's it. There's none of this, but it does feel like every single time we do a transaction on the blockchain, which again, we're all saying, ooh, this is great, it's on the blockchain, it's costing us more money. Money. The world, whatever. Atlas, I think of as money. Everything I think of as money. Again, it's just my perspective. So anyways, I just didn't think of that there's a lot of hidden fees in this game. Anyways, okay, moving on. So I wanted, again, a little bit about what my strategy was this past week. So I had my little small fleet. So I did the thing somebody mentioned months back. Hey, air bikes are going to be good to have. So I bought 20 of those when the price was really low. And then I've been collecting individual extra small and extra small ships, partly just for the collection, having one of each. So anyways, I put all those together and I'm calling it my small fleet. So I started using that to just stick at the Central Space Station and get all the hydrogen. And that was a pretty interesting back and forth, undock, mine, dock, transfer, continue, because there was no movement involved. But then I decided to take out my larger ships. So I can't remember all the names, but bigger ships, a couple smalls and one medium. And so I thought, oh, great, this is going to give me all this flexibility, all this options. And a couple interesting things. One was I'd been subwarping because the small ships couldn't get to the next deposit. I forget which material I was going after, so I had to subwarp. So I was thinking, oh, cool, my large ship, of course, it's going to warp. Yeah, strangely, it could only go to one of the star bases where the mining stuff was, not all of them. So I had to subwarp that one, and I was like, that's kind of lame. So after a while, I went to another one. So anyways, I was subwarping everything. So much for the advantage I thought larger ships would have. The second interesting one was the cargo space. So I guess putting all these little ships together gave me a pretty decent number. My medium and couple small ships, putting them together doubled my cargo. But I don't know. I guess I was expecting a much larger number. So again, I mean, that talking 2 or 3 compared to, I can't remember, 30 plus on the other side. So I guess, a lot of little ones together adds up the cargo. So no problem. I mean, that's just the parameters of what is defined as cargo space and warp distances and things like that. But I realize in the goal, I think, just to reiterate what I decided, I think I mentioned on the last podcast, that I have 2 goals. I was going to get the Max Hog, because that ship can't be purchased directly from the team, and the CSS Tier 0 land or house or whatever it's called. So those are my 2 goals. So as I created a little spreadsheet with all the different materials and crafting I have to do, one of them, I can't remember which one, required some diamonds or to make something. Again, I'm sorry, I don't remember all the details. I'll be blunt, because the crafting chart is irrelevant. I don't care what polymers do or hydrocarbons. The names are irrelevant. You need X of this or that. So that's why I never memorized any of this. But anyways, to do one thing, I needed some sort of rare thing or small thing. It was diamonds. But after looking at both the distance my small fleet can go and my large fleet can go, and I had to hop between multiple star bases to get to whatever place diamond was, I was like, wait, I'm going to have to transfer fuel ahead to get then the materials, and then I'm going to have to reverse it all to bring it all back because of all these different hops. And then fuel was just one thing. Again, you got to stockpile food, right? Yeah, fuel. It doesn't matter. I just realized the amount of effort it would take to figure that all out was a lot. And then I just went on the marketplace, typed in the number of diamonds I needed, and it was like 4 USDC. I was like, forget that. I'm just buying it. I guess I've kind of come up with to use the whatever for whatever. Latte, that's a latte. I'm not spending the amount of effort it would take when I just could buy all the diamonds I need for this crafting tree for the price of a latte. So I just bought that. I felt kind of a little bad because I was like, I should figure it out. I'm like, and then I'll get into more of this. It just wasn't worth the effort. So I wanted to go ahead and mine the rest of the raw materials to build up the crafting trees. So I actually was running those 2 fleets simultaneously. Now, I admit I actually did this during the business day, Monday, because I had started figuring some things out last weekend. And after the day went over, I realized I was way too distracted. Partly, 2 fleets is harder to maintain. 2, I was supposed to be working. But I thought, it's just a couple minutes. It's not a couple minutes. It's actually significant. It adds up, when you have to, what is it? You got to move, dock, transfer, refill, undock, move, wait, set up a timer so you remember to go do it. Now you got the 2 fleets are going in different directions. Did you go to the right areas? I tried it for one more day, and then I was like, I'm sorry, I gotta work. This isn't happening. So again, that's me, what my priorities are. But I also was kind of like, because of the time, I think it was like 30 minutes to move and then like 15 to 30 minutes to mine. The only way I could gain up the tens of thousands of things I needed was to basically do it a lot, because otherwise, if I just did it on the weekend, there's not enough weekends. So as the week went on, I simplified it down and got rid of the large fleet and put it back into Score, the faction fleet, Earning Atlas, and kept doing it a little bit with the small fleet. But as the week went on, it was even still too distracting, and I was like, you know what? And I'll get into a little more of that. It's just not fun. But anyways, the last 2 points of this. One, I started realizing that, even if I do all of this to get all the resources, do all the crafting, I still have the SDU problem. And as the kind of time went on, I started thinking more and more like, just buy this stuff on the marketplace. If again, my goal is just to have this ship and just to have this land, why am I wasting all this time? Anyways, so I kind of left to that. The only thing on another day I realized, I went to figure out how much the price of the actual object was, and I can't remember if it was the remaining resources or just the SDUs I'd have to purchase or to accomplish that. Let's say something was 50, well, the purchasing was $35 or 40. And I was like, wait a second, I'm going to have to buy 75% or whatever just in SDUs when I could just buy the whole thing and do absolutely no more Sage Labs work. Wow. And I'll admit, by the end of the week, that's what I did. I got just tired of moving and mining and just bought all the resources that are needed, the raw things. I took all the number of the small fleet, broke it apart, did crafting, because I originally was always crafting like one material and would take 24 hours, but I'm like, who cares? So now it's taking an hour. And even that was distracting. So, and then I made some calculations wrong on my spreadsheets. I needed more things. And at the end, but like to buy something, it was like 50 cents. And so anyways, the long story short is ended up getting all the resources, crafting everything, have everything I need except the SDUs. And I stopped thinking about Sage Labs and haven't thought about it until just now. So I don't know what I'm going to do with SDUs, but I know the team's talking about making changes there. I'm monitoring the price of SDUs versus how much the actual thing is on the marketplace. And I don't know, I was, to be honest, I got tired. It was too distracting. This wasn't enjoyable, and just leaving it at that. So moving on to the next topic, what really became very clear to me. And again, I also had some hard week of business. One client was unhappy with something, too many meetings, people didn't cancel me. Anyways, in the business side, and we have this, everybody knows the phrase, time is money. But I actually had to really kind of think about it. Is playing Sage Labs really a valuable use of my time? And a couple of things I thought about. One, that it's actually, Sage Labs has very limited interesting end goals. I can get a ship, but some of those ships that people are going to try to do are in very limited quantities, so they're not an unlimited supply. So if you're trying to get a big one, and I think some of them are already not sold out, but crafted out, so you might spend all this time and then you can't get what you want. And I know that the team said that all the things are going to be useful in the future. Again, it's great, but I don't know what the future is because we don't know what the next thing is. I thought, hey, great, we have crafting. No, we really don't. We have crafting and materials, but we don't have an end goal. They just put a few things in there to give it. So to me, there's just such a limited scope of Sage Labs. Now, again, that's not being critical of the team. This was supposed to be an internal testing tool, but for whatever reasons, and we don't need to rehash all the things, this is what got out. But as far as Sage Labs as it exists today, the lack of replayability is so high. I mean, again, once you figured out your crafting tree, and again, maybe if my end goal was finding all these resources, putting them on the marketplace, doing some arbitrage where I could do pricing, yeah, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. That's not what I want to do. Again, going back to what's my time actually worth to me. I do admit everything was cool at first, but as it went on, it became quickly tedious. So what I realized as far as a game, and I look back to my other games that I've played, and I guess I should be, again, very upfront. My gaming isn't a daily occurrence. Again, I have a business, family, side businesses, other hobbies. Gaming is one of my hobbies, but when I did have time, which I haven't had a lot in the last few years once I started my business, was, I'd like to do a mission for an hour or so, whether that's, a first-person shooter or a real-time strategy. And then I got some enjoyment, I had some fun, and the mission was over, and I go back to life. So that kind of, again, made me realize more and more that the time I'm spending clicking around, moving resources, whatever, is actually not enjoyable, but also not worth it when, again, I could buy those diamonds for $4 or I could buy some other resource for 50 cents. So the end goal, which again is the specific ship and specific land, again, I could just buy them. These, again, we're not talking $1 million thing. We're talking $40, $50, which again, I realize that, everybody's at different economic points. So not trying to say that that's too cheap or too expensive, but again, well, regardless, we're buying $500 ships sometimes. So $40 or $50 for a small ship is, again, if you're, it doesn't matter. You know what I'm trying to say. I mean, everybody's at a different price point, but for me, for my economic situation, $4 is, I'm not going to bat an eye over. So again, moving on kind of the next topic, because this is after all of this, I kind of was really starting to think again about a game and fun and sort of some of these other themes I've been going on. So I came up with this interesting way to look at it, because I heard lots of people in the Star Atlas Discord talking about ROI. I, of course, have been talking about, is it fun? But then I realized there's a third term I wanted to throw in the mix, which is enjoyable. So something we get fun. Well, again, fun and enjoyable are kind of this maybe the same, but again, I guess I used enjoyable. Anyway, so related to the ROI point, there was a lot of talk about that. What's the ROI? And a lot of was also mentioned, hey, you got to maybe do some math, and maybe people don't like math. Hey, if you don't like math, don't worry about it. Don't do it. I mean, we're all adults. Again, you're not a high school or a grade school where you got to learn math. We're all adults. If you don't like math, you don't have to like math. Don't care. We're all adults. But again, I was realizing when we keep talking about return on investment, there's, again, stands for return on investment. So there's an investment part. Well, what investment are we talking about here? And it's money, right? It's money. But I started to think about more and more, it's actually time. If you had time, let's just say a unit of time, 1 hour, and you put that into Sage Labs, cool. Now, if I'm doing it for entertainment and I have fun and it's enjoyable, then I'm fine with that hour. Maybe I should have been folding laundry or something, whatever. That's your own personal decisions. But if we're talking about ROI, we're talking about, hey, is this a return on my investment? So what could you have done with that hour of time? Well, you could have got a job. You could have worked. You could have got minimum wage for the U.S. or something like that. Way more money than what you're going to get out of Sage Labs. And again, maybe somebody's making $15 an hour for their time. But I don't think they're spending time. I think they're automating. They're using leverage. They're doing all these other things to come up with that. Or again, they have a gigantic ship. And by definition, that gives them more resources. But again, that ship costs them a lot of money. So again, we're back to the money thing. Might take them a little time now, but they still had to buy that ship back at the beginning, whenever they bought it, whatever price they did. So another aspect of this ROI versus fun versus enjoyable is, again, is it fun? And, I had to admit, there was some change for some reason, and the crafting trees became easier or harder. I don't remember either. But it got me thinking, what if I had been trying to build those resources and now the proportions changed? Wait, you changed the rules on me. I had developed this thing. Now, again, I know the team needs to make changes and they're trying. But again, that kind of got me thinking, wait a second, the rules aren't even set. So I'm trying to accomplish something and the team could just change it next week. Don't have a problem with them changing it on the principle of fixing whatever. But if I'm the one being affected by that change, well, that could be either cool because it was to my advantage, or it could be my disadvantage. Again, it takes a lot of the fun factor right out of there. So again, is it enjoyable for me? In the present form, no. Sage Labs is not enjoyable. I realized after a week, this has actually caused me stress. It's distracting me from my things I should be focusing on, i.e. my business. My business makes money. Again, if you're working and you can take 5 minutes and your boss doesn't catch you, that's you, whatever. I'm not judging you one way or another. My time directly goes to my business. I directly get the results of that effort. So yeah, I'm much more incentivized to focus my time on business or on my family or whatever your priorities are. So I'm just saying me. Now, just to be completely whatever, another one of my hobbies that I like to do is put Legos together. Yes, I'm one of those adult people of Legos. Anyways, you can't see it's a podcast, but I got Legos all over my room that I'm in, and I enjoy that. But for other people, they're going to say building a Lego set is the most boringest thing you could do. It is boring. Fair enough, to each his own. And again, I want to caveat that on everything I'm saying. I'm just talking about what I am doing. You may have a totally different perspective. You may find Sage Labs fun, whatever. Again, you're welcome to share your thoughts. Anybody can go on YouTube, make a podcast, whatever, And I appreciate. I want everybody to communicate because I think that's what's great about the community. So what I really realized why it's not enjoyable is I personally like to have a plan. I like to execute it, and I like to have an end result. So again, I'll hopefully get these 2 ships, and even if I don't, I'll feel at least I didn't spend a lot of money and time not getting the ships if they turn out not to be available once I figured out the SDU thing. So again, for me personally, my time is much more valuable to me than playing Sage Labs. I can work on my other things. And I really think that, and again, I'm at a different point in my life than I think many other people might be who are in the Stardust community. Again, I'm not going to tell you my age, but I'm older. I'm Gen X. So there. Gen X. So that gives you a range. So I'm a Gen X. I got a kid in college. I got kids in high school, teenagers. So again, whatever. Playing a game has a trade-off for my other real-world impacts. So I realized at the end, to summarize all this, that the real ROI, not just the ROI of, hydrocarbon and Sage Labs, the real ROI, because the one thing we all have exactly the same, and it's immutable, is time. There's only so much time in the day. Yeah, sure, you can stay up all 24 hours. You're going to collapse. That's not healthy. So you only have so much free time. And there is so many other things I can do, to, quote, earn money than I can in Stardust Day. And I think at the end of the day, what I'm starting to sense more and more, I came thinking of Star Atlas as a game in an environment, i.e. sci-fi, that appeals to me. Again, as a Star Wars fan, a Star Trek fan, sci-fi fan, that was cool. The idea of moving around space in a ship, cool. And then there was this component of a real economy, blockchain, I'd own my resources. All of those things appeal to me. But if we're really thinking about it, is this a way to, quote, earn money? No way. Because I don't have the ability to get the scale that would be necessary to make those things. So that's just it. And secondary point, I need my real world money because I need to get a better video card so I can actually play the showroom. With the last update, it didn't work. Now I know I don't have enough video RAM, but I have all these other games that work just fine. Now I know it's not optimized, et cetera, et cetera. That doesn't matter. I can't get the 1,000-point Zeely thing because I can't produce a picture. Well, I'm trying to get that thing. So I got to realize that putting more money in it now isn't actually getting the other goal I want, which is to be able to play the showroom. So I should keep my money, and hopefully there'll be a Black Friday sale on a video card that I want. So again, if you look at the bigger picture, I got to be realistic. My time should be spent on my business and my other things, and the money, instead of putting into it, I should buy a video card so I can do something else. So anyways, there's my big soapbox. Thanks for letting me ramble way too long on that. But I think it partly was, it wasn't fun. It wasn't enjoyable. This was getting so tedious and distracting from other things because of that endorphin rush, or not even endorphin rush. It wasn't like scrolling through Facebook or Twitter or something. To get to the goal I wanted, I had to keep clicking, and eventually those clicks just weren't worth the effort. Anyways, moving on. So, trying to be positive, because I always was told, don't come to someone and complain to like a manager, come with a solution. So, what do I want to do in the future? And I want to, again, preface this. This is what I want. I don't even care if the team builds this or not. This is what I want. Because, again, I just can go find a different game. Again, this is just a game. So, strangely, I want more elements like Score. I want more passive parts where then I could use strategy or even math to figure out how it works, but it needs to be much, much more passive. And again, I'll go back to the initial thing at the bot versus tools. I want more tools. I would have no problems with the structure and the economy that's being exposed in Sage Labs, but that clicking, forget it. I can't do that. Again, once I put my big ships back in the score and I just have to click 2 minutes in the morning and refill them. Actually, I realized that even though I'd been complaining about that for a year, I felt pretty good about it because I got something out of it. I got some Atlas every week. So anyways, the other thing I guess is I want some more immersion. A couple of times I caught myself like mentally visualizing my ship leaving the space station. Now I know the next version of Sage is going to have visuals and the 3D stuff. So we'll see things like that occur. But I realized I just wanted kind of shorter campaigns, shorter in-game interactions where I could accomplish something in, 10 to 15 minutes and feel good about it. Those would be fun things. But again, the constant back and forth, this was there. Definitely a stable rule set. I know the game's just being really, it's not even barely out of the starting line. But, when it changes, again, if the changes are every 6 months or something, again, I know this is not where we're at now, but it, again, kind of bugged me. And going again back to the beginning of the bots and tools, I know it's early, but we need clear approval on use of tools. And maybe we'll get there with the development tools being released and things like that. But if someone who has the programming knowledge or any knowledge to build something and then offer that to the community for a fee, and I could decide, hey, I want to rent that service or what, I don't even know. I don't even know what I'm asking for, but I have no problems with that. And I hope the team doesn't either. Again, I'm still struggling with so what's wrong with botting? But anyways, but ultimately, I would just want to spend my time and my money on something that to me is enjoyable. Again, sorry to be harping on it, but yeah, anyways, moving on. Oh, actually, not moving on. That's the end. Sorry. So anyways, thanks very much for listening to me babble and ramble on. I just want to note, programming note, highly likely there won't be a podcast next week. I'm actually heading out of town on a personal trip. If I can't record my thoughts on Friday, I won't be where I won't have my audio set up and everything like that. So if you don't see a podcast next week, that's what it is, heading out of town for personal reasons. So just FYI. So anyways, wrap it up again. Thanks for listening. Again, if anybody wants to be on a guest to ramble with me, definitely happy to see if we can coordinate something. Please do, if you're interested in all what the other content creators are doing. Again, it was kind of a light week, I think, too. Actually, the biggest content creator thing was, I think, a couple other content creators mentioning how the game isn't, I don't want to put words in their mouth, but they were struggling with different things. So, but you can sign up for the weekly news recap. Please go to intergalacticherald.com, look for the weekly recap, sign up, or the pop-up will come up. And then again, just want to mention the two Star Wars projects I'm working on. One is my merch store, intergalacticgear.com. Please go there and fill out the merch survey. Appreciate any feedback on things you may want to purchase in the future related to Star Atlas merchandise. And then if you're looking to hang out with other Star Atlas gamers, I'm not really interested in the full guild experience, but want to be able to come in and out of conversations, not get lost in chat. Again, trying to put together a paid community for that called Intergalactic Coalition that we could chat and do that. Ultimately, if everybody there wants to form an in-game DAC eventually, I could see an opportunity for that, kind of as a, again, coalition of gamers that maybe look out for each other, don't attack each other, or maybe some sort of mutual defense for all the pirates and guilds that are out there ruining our supply chains or whatever. Again, whenever we get to that part of the phase. Again, I think it's just an alternative way of organizing there. Please go to intergalacticcoalition.com. Otherwise, wow, went very long today. Hope you enjoyed it. If you're on any of those podcast players and they have any reviewy thingies, please do. Again, if you want to reach out to me directly, intergalacticherald.com. Otherwise, this is Matt with Intergalactic Herald. Have a great week.